Today we're talking about the inner voice. We've all had that experience where you're in a situation where you have to make a decision and a small voice inside you says, no, don't do that, or do this instead. Where does that voice come from? What is it? And where is it located inside you? We call it the intuition. We call it a gut feeling. But you find that if you've been in that kind of a situation and you followed through on that little voice, somehow it always turns out to be right. And if you didn't follow through, you end up suffering some negative consequence. Where does this gut feeling actually exist or reside in your person? Is it in your head? Is it in your heart? Is it in your gut, in your intestines, in your stomach? I think we'll all agree that it's not in your head because you don't actually feel it or hear it in your head. And it's not really in your chest either. So this little voice is in the middle of your person somewhere. It's in the middle. And if one were to dissect your body, they're not going to be able to find it necessarily. But where is the middle of your body? The middle of your body, where this feeling, this gut feeling comes from, or where this little voice comes from, is somewhere around the level of your diaphragm. And that is your solar plexus. That's what we call your solar plexus. But if you try to do a dissection of the solar plexus, you're still not going to find it. I would suggest to you that that place in your solar plexus is where the real you resides in your body and is connected to your body. So let's look at the human. You, the real you, the human being, is an invisible energy, because if your body gets cut open, we can't find where the real you actually is in any of your organs. The real you is an energy that permeates all your organs, including your brain. And the real you connects to your body through your solar plexus. The real you is an energy. I call it spirit. You're a spiritual being. And that spiritual being is here in the material physical world, in a material physical body. And that spiritual being, which is you, interacts with the material physical world through the use of your material physical body. So let's say I want to communicate with Jane. I have to send a picture of what I want to send to Jane, to my brain. My brain processes it and turns it into nerve impulses, which then go to my organs of speech or vision. I give Jane a look. I say something. Jane receives it through her sensory organs. What are the sensory organs? Well, there are 5 senses: vision, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. Sensory organs are what the brain uses to receive information from the surroundings. And then the brain processes this information and transmits it to the spirit through the solar plexus. The spirit receives this information, and then the spirit has to decide what to do with the information. The spirit reacts to the incoming information. The spirit can only react through thought, word, or deed. Now let's look at the actual process. When the brain receives the information through hearing, vision, smell, taste, or touch, the brain generates thoughts which encompass what it has, it has processed. And these thoughts arouse feelings within us, within you, within me. And these feelings are then transmitted down to the solar plexus. And these feelings are aroused in the solar plexus. The spirit, which is you or me, then reacts. And in reacting, generates emotions. What's an emotion? An emotion is an emotion. That's E for energy, motion. It's a movement of energy, and an emotion is a movement of energy out of you towards the outside. So information comes to you, and you react to this information by putting out an energy, which is the emotion. The information which comes to you comes through your brain, which creates thoughts, which are really pictures in your brain, which again become feelings, and you react with an emotion. In other words, feeling is not emotion. Feeling is what your brain creates and sends to your solar plexus, to your spirit. Emotion is what you, the spirit inside, put out in response to the feeling. The spirit, being spiritual, is here in the material world, but its origin is spiritual. So the spirit is connected with the invisible spiritual world, and at the same time connected with the physical, visible material world through your physical body. There is a channel through which your spirit receives that information from your solar plexus. And that channel is what we call the intuition or the intuitive sense. That intuitive sense is also the channel that connects you, the spiritual being, with the spiritual world. So in a way, one could say you as spirit are standing in the middle, connected on the one side with the material world through your brain and your five senses, and connected with the spiritual through your one sense, which is your intuitive sense. So when you think about it, your brain has five senses, needs five senses to receive all the input that's coming into it and process them. Your spirit needs only one sense to receive from your brain, the same one sense to connect with the spiritual world, receive from the spiritual world. Your spirit receives this information from the brain and turns for spiritual guidance, can only receive that guidance from and through the spirit's intuitive sense, through the intuition. And when it does that, then it makes a decision on the kind of reaction it is going to have. Through the intuitive sense, your spirit remains in constant contact with spirit. And spirit always is in harmony with spiritual law. The spiritual laws are eternal, constant laws that govern all life. All life. Life in the spiritual, life in the material. Your intuitive sense is a channel that connects you with the spiritual world, allows you to receive and to put out. In fact, all our senses are channels. So your five physical senses are channels that allow you to receive information from the material physical world. Your intuitive sense allows you to receive the incoming information from your brain. It allows you to turn to spirit and receive guidance. What does that guidance consist of? Spirit is always in harmony with the laws of creation, or you can call it the laws of the universe, or the laws of life. And what are those laws? Well, the first law is for every action, there is a reaction. Let's just focus on that for a moment. Every interaction, we use that word, interaction. Is there another way we can describe that interaction? Well, every interaction is really an experience. That's how you experience in the material world. From what you see, what you hear, what you sense, what you smell, what you taste, what you touch, what you grab a hold of, what you push away. Those are all experiences. And you can only have them in the material world by using your senses. So even your sense of touch is an integral part of every physical action that you perform. So for every experience that comes towards you, or for every experience you have, for every action that you experience, there is a reaction. There is a reaction. So everything that you experience, you react to. You cannot avoid reacting. And every reaction is an action on your part. And every action that you do, and when we think about it, we don't think that thoughts, feelings, emotions are actions, but they are actions. And then your reaction could be a thought, it could be some words, or it could be some action. Every action, every thought is an action. Every word is an action. Every deed is an action. And every action your spirit chooses what that action will be, what that thought will be, what that word will be, what that emotion or deed will be. When the channel that connects you with your spiritual origin and your spiritual guidance is open and active, then you can be more circumspect. You take the information that comes from your brain, that has been processed by your brain, the information that came from the outside, and then through your intuitive sense, you assess it, and then you make a decision what your reaction will be. Today, we're living in a world where everything is just moving faster and faster and faster. And there is a lot of information coming in. We're in constant interaction with our surroundings. And there is a lot of input, noise, thoughts, a big jumble of thoughts coming in into our system. And the spirit has only one channel to take all this input, process it, and receive guidance based on the natural laws and determine what to do with all this information, what to keep and what to discard, how to respond to it, and how to operate in its own interactions with the surroundings. Like I said, the spiritual laws are in constant effect. Aside from the first law of action and reaction, the second law is that whatever you put out will always bring back to you only that which is of the same kind as what you put out. It can never be anything else but the same kind as what you put out. So, let me give you a simple example. You're at the supermarket. The checker is talking on the phone and gestures to you to please wait. And you wait, 30 seconds go by, 45 seconds go by, 1 minute goes by, and you're becoming impatient. Now you're having thoughts of, she should be doing her job. She shouldn't be on the phone. And you're developing feelings of impatience. A little voice inside you saying, calm down, slow down, calm down. It's only 45 seconds. But you're becoming more and more riled up. And now you're having feelings of impatience and thoughts like she's being rude, she's not paying attention. And the more thoughts you have, the more you become surrounded by those thoughts, and your channel, your intuitive sense, which is your connection with spirit, becomes drowned out by all these other loud thoughts. And the feelings of impatience, before you know it, you are generating an emotion of anger. You're becoming angry. Whereas if you listen to your inner voice, and your inner voice is trying to say, slow down, calm down, it's not the end of the world. Perhaps she's on the phone because her mother got taken to the emergency room and she's trying to talk to a relative, about it. You don't know. Perhaps her son got stranded at school and missed the school bus, and she's trying to figure out what to do about it. You have no idea. So now you are filled with anger. You may not say a single word to her, but you're angry. You come out of the supermarket and you're still feeling angry. This anger surrounds you. This energy of anger surrounds you, and you carry it with you wherever you're going, and you spread it, and other people begin to feel angry for no reason. That's the way it works. Your intuitive sense is there to guide you and point you in the direction of harmony with creation, with life, and with spirit. Your intuitive sense is your only channel of connection with spirit. Bear that in mind. And your intuitive sense only talks to you in a small, gentle voice. The intuitive sense speaks to you in a whisper. It doesn't shout at you. It doesn't coerce you. It whispers to you, and then it lets you decide what you're going to do. It lets you choose what you're going to do. So that takes us to the third law. The third law is that every thought, every word, every deed that proceeds from you is an act of will. An act of will. So you exercise your will when you choose, when you do anything. You think you're just doing it, but in fact, you choose to do. You always choose. Now, the process is so fast, it's like it happens at the speed of lightning. So you think, there's so much going on, I'm so angry. I have no control over it. Yes, now you have no control over it. The beginning of this anger, when the feelings were building up, when the thoughts were building up, was when your inner voice, your intuitive sense said, or was trying to reach you, or you had the possibility, the opportunity to turn to your intuitive sense and use your intuitive sense and connect with spirit and ask for guidance and ask for spiritual help and energy to make the right choice. So every action, every interaction, every experience is a choice. No matter how intense the experience is, there's still choice. But the choice is only in the initial phase. Once you've made that choice, then the outcome can always be predicted to be of the same kind as the choice you made. So, 3 principles that you must bear in mind. Principle number 1, every experience, every single thought, every single experience, everything that you feel, experience, you always react to. That's basically what experiencing is. It's you receiving impacts from the outside and you responding to it. Action, reaction. For every action, there's a reaction. Principle number 2, whatever you put out in your reaction determines the character of what you will receive from your reaction. Whatever you put out, whatever kind of energy you put out, is the same kind of energy that will surround you, envelop you, and become your reality. Let's put it that way. 3, third principle, every experience, every thought, every word, every deed, every emotion is an act of will. But for many of us, we've lost control of our will because gradually over time, we use our intuitive sense less and less. Now, we're mostly living in our brain. And when that happens, the brain sends its pictures and arouses feelings, but there is no spiritual input to help you, the spirit, assess the situation with clarity and dispassionately. Because already the feelings are already building up, and now the feelings overwhelm you, and you make reactions based on one-sided, incomplete information, because you're not receiving any spiritual information or guidance to help you properly assess the situation. And the result is we are all living in a state of chaos for that reason, because in the majority of instances, we're completely cut off from our intuitive sense. And your intuitive sense is your only channel of connection with spirit. One could ask, why are we here? Why all this anyway? Well, we are here to learn and grow from our experiences. We are in the material world, our experiences are in the material world, but the actual core of every experience is for your spirit. It's not for your body, it's for your spirit. So the core is spiritual. And if your spirit is not maintaining connection with spirit, then your spirit is buffeted back and forth in the material world and suffers from it. Let me reiterate that every thought, word, and deed, in every moment, it's not just sometimes, it's every time, all the time, is a choice. That means you are confronted with making a choice every instant of your existence, not just of your life, of your existence. Every instant you are making a choice, and your inner voice is there to help you navigate these choices that you must make. Your inner voice is the channel that connects you with spirit and provides you with guidance from spirit. What I'm talking about here is not new. I myself, throughout my life, have struggled to try to become more aware, more aware from moment to moment, from day to day. It's it's a struggle for all of us, but I think it has become more and more of a struggle because we have for so long not used this faculty that now it's very difficult for us to begin to re-exercise it. If you don't use a faculty constantly, it will become weaker and weaker, and eventually you will lose the ability to use it. And that is what is happening to us today as humans. Our spiritual faculty, which is really the intuitive sense, is being relegated to the background, and we've been so caught up with our brain function that it is now very difficult for us to find that intuitive sense, find and hear that inner voice. The inner voice, you have to listen very carefully to hear it because it's so small. It only speaks to you in a whisper. And the noise from our brain is overwhelming. And today, there is so much emphasis given to the brain. You know, we psychologists, psychiatrists, doctors, teachers in schools, everybody's focused on the brain. And the spirit is lost in that great chaotic noise that is associated with the brain. And yet the brain is really only an instrument for your spirit to receive information from the outside. But it is up to your spirit to take that information that the brain sends to it and process it appropriately based on your spirit's appreciation and understanding of spiritual law, because the outcome is always, always subject to spiritual law. Now, for much of my life, I have been trying to understand life. And in my search, I came across a book. And this book is called In the Light of Truth. Many of you who are attending this workshop are aware of it. I found this book 55 years ago, and I'm, I've been reading it. It comes in 3 volumes in paperback. And this book is called In the Light of Truth by Abd Rushin. It's an encyclopedic work. It talks about many, many, many things. And it addresses every and any question that concerns the human condition. In the past 55 years that I've been reading this book, I also am a voracious reader. I read everything. And over the years, I've come to realize that there are many books, many thinkers, philosophers, religious leaders, spiritual leaders, who have also written books to help us try to understand life better and live it to the best that we can. But I've come to realize that every book that I've read contains something that helps me. However, each time I read a book and I find a lot of helpful information, and then I go back to this book in the light of truth, and I find that almost all the information in this other book that I've read or that I am reading is also in this book, is also in this book in the light of truth. And sometimes is compressed into just a single paragraph or a single page. All the information that's in this book or that book or the other book, I find it also in this book. The difference is that this book, In the Light of Truth, is truly encyclopedic. It contains, it addresses practically every question that comes up.